All right, boom, kamusta? I just voted today, so I sincerely hope everyone who's watching, at least in the Philippines, has also set aside their votes and made the best candidate win. Well, hopefully the best candidate does win. Um, but I'm not here to preach about who I voted for and what's the word I'm looking for, and who you should vote for. Right? We're all past that. By this time today, all of us should have already decided who we want to lead our country, right? Who we want um, our country, who we want to lead our country. So now I just want to talk about some three key things that we need to look out for as the election ends. So regardless of whoever wins this, there is going to be a lot of drastic change that's going to be happening. And well, the question is, are you aware of whatever that change is? Okay, and it's going to be huge. It's going to affect us economically. It's going to affect us culturally. It's going to affect us. Um, it's basically going to affect our way of living moving forward. All right. So without further ado, let's start. So the first thing we want to look forward, we want to watch out for is number one, movements of foreign investors. Okay, how many of you know that, well, a lot of the industries that we need to be able for our country to be sustainable, um well, we need to attract foreign investors, to create infrastructure and projects in the country, right? However, there's also the question of who are we at who which foreign investors are we attracting, right? um, and this doesn't just involve corporate investors. This could also involve loans. This could also involve um, basically money coming in inside the country, right? So how are investors leaving? What kind are they? Are investors pouring in? What kind are they? And basically, where is the money going? Right? Where is the money going as soon as the election ends, right? Saan pupunta yung pera natin? Or yung pera, where is the money leading us to? Okay? So one of my fears when it comes to regardless of whatever the result is, right? One of my fears is gentrification. I'm sorry if I butchered that term, but it's basically a term, right? It's basically a term that means, just imagine this, right? We're living life in a moderately cheap lifestyle, right? So just imagine you're living in a community where the cost of living is just 10,000 pesos per month, right? And suddenly a bunch of rich people like the place, and then they started calling it home. Now all of a sudden, these same rich folk would start putting up their own businesses with more resources than the local people, and suddenly the prices go up, and local people will now have trouble um, affording being able to live wherever they are, right? So in that case, now there's a movement. Suddenly, a community or an area becomes a place where rich people buy off land to 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 those who live there far longer, and those who live there are forced to then move somewhere else, right? Because the cost of living is no longer sustainable for them. Okay, that's basically what gentrification is. Now in our country, there's a huge chance that that's going to happen, right? And here's the thing, um, we are basically the biggest industry that our country has, and the biggest industry that we have, and it brings the most income in our country is the OFW market, right? We are basically being shipped abroad like sheep, right? Or cattle, right? As as a means to bring income in our country. That's how we pay our loans. That's how our GDP goes up. And well, if we can't even be masters, if we are slaves in some way or form to other countries, then what about the country that we're living in, right? I'd rather be us, be our own masters in the place that we live in. So that's the first thing you need to look out for. Okay. Next is economic plans against the debt accumulated during the past administration. Now it's not a regardless of who you support. I don't care if you're pro PRRD or you're anti. The point of the matter is that we have accumulated debt. Okay, may mga utang tayo na malalaki. And now the question is, how the heck are we gonna be paying for this? Now, how is this related as well to foreign investors? Um, well, here's the thing: foreigners can now own 100% of industries or businesses in the country. Right? The bill passed around March this year, where foreign-owned industries can own 100%, right? Like for example, telecommunications, airlines, shipping, etc. So it's a crazy thing to think about, right? So question is this, right? What is the plan so that we are able to sustain being able to pay these debts, and at the same time we're able to also um, support our local communities and economy up? How can are there plans involved that local businesses, local industries, jobs, in short, is there a plan that's gonna help people, that's gonna keep us from downsizing? Okay, us, the ordinary man, ordinary people, from downsizing. Okay, so that's something to check into. Okay, so paano natin mababayaran yung trillions of debt that we have, right? How can we pay off the trillions of debt that we have? So that's something to think about. Now, regardless of this though, I still encourage people to take power into their own hands and basically start their own companies. And you know regardless of what the economic status of the country is, power through it by creating your own industry. Which brings us to the third thing you need to look out for. Okay, you need to look out for industries that endure. Okay, regardless of who wins this election, here's the truth: we're fucked, right? We're definitely fucked. Um, in short, regardless of who wins, right? The challenge still lies there's still a lot of problems that we need to fix, especially um, the things that the pandemic basically brought upon us. Okay, now the best way for me that I believe in to see if we can actually heal from this is if number one, we need to look at industries that endure, meaning despite the economic statuses, despite the economic times, these industries are thriving. These industries are able to adapt quickly and basically create um, fill in a vacuum basically that other industries are losing ground on. And also at the same time, we need to also look at new industries that flourish, because we all know this: in times where we are challenged the most are the times where entrepreneurs, leaders, teachers rise up and basically create something new, create new industries. And be mindful, right, that this new industry could start in your local community. Right? This whole new movement may start from your own local community, because now we live in a time, unlike before, we now live in a time where we are more powerful than ever because of Web3, because of the internet, and because of all the resources available to us right now. Now, the question is, how will you fare? Right? The question is, how will you fare moving forward? So I'm gonna end this live with this. See you guys. Hope you learned something. See ya. Boom.